So yeah, this is Corin DuBose, man. I'm checking in again, man. I've been ranting on Facebook about the afterlife for quite some time, for a few years now, and a lot of people have a misunderstanding as to exactly what it is I'm talking about while I'm doing. So basically, you got to understand this: there is a such thing as the afterlife. There is life beyond death. I found out by accident. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't intending to find out that way, but let's just say some people have the ability to astral project, but I would not look at that like it's some superpower or something you can utilize against other people as a weapon. That's really not what the astral plane is, and quite frankly, humans are not meant to survive in the astral plane. The astral plane is like a fluidic space. It's a different dimension of time space. It's not a parallel universe or a separate reality where you secretly are not the exact same person, but let's say you're a millionaire in the astral plane while you're in this plane just a person working at McDonald's. No, that's not what's going on. The astral plane is not where you can go and just restart and boot up and build a new civilization and just go into the cosmos. It means you're dead. It's where dead people go. It's where dead anything goes. When something dies, the energy that it leaves behind immediately goes into what is called the astral plane. Some people call it the Gulf or purgatory, as Catholics and other Christians like to say. Of course, they have these different ideas about it. The underworld, Tartarus, you know what I'm saying? The Elysian fields and all that stuff like that right there. Well, we don't need to go into all those outdated mythological terms and stuff like that, other than to say that once you die, there is a sub-reality fabric that's fluidic, and it's the ghost world. And unfortunately for us humans, that world is governed by the same forces that likely created us, but probably in a process that is more along the lines of our evolution as a species. And there is a such thing as soul traps, soul captures, and false realities. The number one thing you want to watch out for is soul traps and false realities. And soul capture is going to happen regardless. And by soul capture, before I get into the other two, what I mean is this. If your soul is going to be captured, you better hope it's by the good guys that are trying to transport you to the other side where the good people go. And it's much like the Aboriginal Australian dream time. It's the original universe, or the causative universe, the causal universe, however you want to look at it. This universe is where the inspiration for what is existence originated. And there's also the source of where I created this alien god came from. This alien god isn't just an evolved being. This alien god had to evolve along the lines of what it would be to become a god. And being a god did not apparently entitle throwing lightning bolts and ruling with an iron fist from on top of a mountain, but evolution, wisdom, kindness, and compassion. This God creates and causes life forms to come into awareness so that they can perceive a universe full of wonders that nobody would otherwise notice if there was no awareness caused to be by this God. You have to understand it's almost impossible to understand exactly what God is, rather than to just say, yeah, there is a God. It has to be an alien presence, because you don't create or construct something out of nothingness without some prior intelligence arranging for that to happen. Chaos does not create intelligence. Now, scientists are going to go nuts and disagree with me if they ever even concern themselves with this recording, but no, the universe is not entirely based on the laws of physics, which restrain and govern this time cycle, which the human race is apparently at this moment caught in, and we're all together in this, and the only way out seems to be death. In other words, that means you have to die. Unfortunately for us, death, much like the Egyptians believe and other religions like Christianity, is fraught with danger, torment, hells, pitfalls, traps. And that's because there is a species on this planet. I'm going to simply call them predators, devils, demons, flyers. They are demonic. These things are predatory and vampiric, but in a nature that is spiritual and psychic. And they'll lunge onto you and attack to your spiritual or astral energy. That's what they're trying to attach to, is your astral or spiritual energy. And they do manifest in this kind of sub-frequency reality. People have been calling it the fourth dimension and things like that. That's entirely inaccurate. It's not only inaccurate, it's entirely inaccurate. It's not the fourth dimension. It is what it appears to be as a fluidic sub-reality that is not this true reality. And there's a predatory race nest taking up harbor in there. They've nested up in there, and what they've done is woven a net thrown up by the enemy in this ancient war that is not totally appropriate to go to at this moment on this particular recording. But there was an ancient war that involved the creation, maintenance, and evolution of the human race, and who was going to be in charge of that. And it may have involved either a rogue species within inside the kingdom of God, or some rogue element within God's kingdom, or it might have been involving some type of mutiny or fallout elsewhere in the universe in the greater galactic community. And when I say galactic community, I don't mean like some fantastic Star Wars community of unbelievably, just wonderful aliens and, floating cities in outer space and Death Stars. No, I mean, whatever governs the evolution of this planet probably has a say-so along the lines of what goes on other planets. And primary example is Mars. Mars once obviously must have had life, or at least the potential to harbor life. And let's be honest, it had life on it. And Mars shows evidence that it has been torn apart by some type of cataclysmic war. Some of the scars on the surface of Mars seem as if they came from somebody trying to get rid of whoever was down there. And it could have been the people who were down there themselves. You never know. Or maybe they pissed somebody off and deserved it. But you will never know. Unless you just speculate and study history anyway. You have to go into the darkness knowing that you don't know what you're talking about. And you're going to run into things that'll make you uncomfortable and make you, it will cause consternation. It will put you off. It will make you question religion, the nature of life, what you believe about yourself, God, other people, and where we are in the universe as a species and what direction this species is going in. Unfortunately for us, as I keep saying that word unfortunately, the key thing to human evolution is the death process. One day we're going to die and eject out of this cocoon a supernatural entity that is not entirely human, that was destined to become something else in a energetic space that is not this timeline. And to understand it better, it takes the person who wants to understand to go into that themselves and be in that. You have to focus on yourself. You have to look into yourself. When you go to sleep at night and you dream, pay attention to your dream. Remember your dream. Keep a journal by your bed if you have to. Why were you dreaming about what you were dreaming about? If it doesn't concern you and you don't want to go down that path, then don't worry yourself and tarry about it. Go elsewhere for more information, more appealing to the path that you're walking on, but be forewarned. The death process is at the end of each path in life. No way around it. The death process is that filter that we all have to pass through. And at the end of that filter, there is a being that created us that is not entirely human. And what these soul traps are false realities created by a secondary predatory element that is trying to utilize humanity in their own version of our salvation which is what you want is salvation, right? That's what you term it as. You don't want to stay in purgatory. You don't want to go the opposite trajectory through purgatory down into hell, where these entities are waiting for human beings so they can use us to construct their lives parasitically by using our lifetime educational memory, which is our soul. And yes, some of these beings operate UFO objects. They operate wheels, these things that fly and kind of whirl around in the sky. And what those things are, those are encounter suits. And I hate to steal J. Michael Straczynski's words from Babylon 5, but that's the best way I can describe it. And great work on Babylon 5, because the universe that I dreamed about and saw as a child growing up, even before Babylon 5 came out, and way back in the early 90s and way back in the 80s, it had these UFO objects that looked like they could have come from under the ocean rather than off Star Trek, where it's all mechanical and completely technical and science. It's like an ocean. But, I'm going to take a break here, and then I'm going to restart this. I had to take a temporary break. And basically what I'm getting to is that these beings do have these objects that they can pass through the time, the dimensions. They can pass through the time-space realities and these various sub-realities, and those things are like encounter suits. The universe is a lot like an ocean, and life forms do evolve along extremely divergent lines, not necessarily along the exact same lines, and species that are more akin to each other and more, let's say, likely to be able to facilitate any type of intelligent communication will be the species that will gravitate towards each other, but they won't not necessarily be they won't have the anatomy of a human. They won't be bipedal necessarily, And let's say if the species happens to be an extremely ugly insect-like species that just happens to be friendly. And let's say there's an extremely human-looking species that happens to be particularly warlike, vicious, and decides to blow up worlds, including its own home world. And I'm just saying, that's just a suggestion. Let's say that some of these factions and forces are operating on this planet. Now, let's say there really are these forces working on this planet, and they are utilizing the evolution and transfer of human souls and creative thinking, your knowledge, your lifetime education and memory, which, as I said, is a soul. And these beings in these encounter suits don't necessarily have to be good when they're passing through these dimensions and capturing souls from the astral plane and whatever you call it, the Gulf or Purgatory. Or if they're trying to take you to hell, chances are you lived in such a fashion that these beings will have become at some point attracted to you, and those beings are going to carry out that pact that you made with them. So if you are involved in anything that is kind of dark, mystical, or potentially into occult, or the darker side of the occult, don't expect that those entities are not there if positive entities in UFOs are also doing the same thing. If they are also able to do the same thing, why would you not expect that the negative aliens are going to eventually figure out how it works, figure out who they can work through, manipulate, how they can infiltrate a system, and where they are not technically as powerful, or just close to being as powerful as the same forces behind our creation. They got to have some limitation, because limitation usually requires for them to use stealth or covert, secretive means in order to go about their dirty work, which is the work of creating their own version of what God had for humanity, using humans, of course, as the pawns and resource to do these things. So what these UFOs are doing is basically having a fight in our dream time, in our spirit afterlife, over where our souls are going to go. And I think it's important before people die to know that this is going on. And that's what the UFOs are doing. That's why they're there. That's why the genetic experimentation. That's why the hustle and bustle around Antarctica and these ancient sites. That's why all this stuff on YouTube, the creepiness and closure of proper news outlets, as far as not closure, but they're being closed off. They're only being allowed to broadcast BS. Like, how many times are you going to sit up and talk crap about President Trump before you focus on the fact that the United States and its allies are basically at war with at least 10 different countries? I mean, seriously. Well, back to what I was saying. I mean, and no, actually, back to what I just said. 10 different freaking countries around the world. I mean, sprung out from North Africa all the way over to East Asia and the South China Sea. You're literally brewing up for a war with that. It means more people are going to die. Epic natural disasters all the way around the world. Well, people are going to die, and they need, before they die, to know that this information. Now, they need to know that the world that is after this is real. It's concrete. It may be fluidic, but it's concrete fact there. All right? A lot of these people that pretend that they've not done this research, they've not gone into these areas, they do not already know about this. So, we need to do these studies and we need to control this information. No, you don't. You need to cultivate this information so you can use it for the criminal shadow government, military, and industrial complex that wants to lock us up in FEMA camps and turn Walmarts into open air prisons. You want this stuff for yourself. You want to blast off into outer space without the rest of us because it's resources, it's taxing. You don't want to deal with us. You don't want to have to fool with who's going to educate, who's going to rid the children, who's going to deal with the waste when we try to get out of this situation where climate change is being caused by a realignment of the solar system and forces beyond human control. Well, what about the Creator and the Source and the Holy Spirit and the cause of the universe? If Christianity floats your boat, if Islam, Zen Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, any of these religions around the world, even if you're into Manism or Jainism, Yazidis, for God's sake, it doesn't matter if you're in Iran somewhere studying, ancient Proto-Iranian. If whatever floats your boat, what is the source in each one of those religions? The causal universe, the causative universe. What causes this stuff to be? It had to be positive. It wanted you to be here and experience life and enjoy the wonders of the universe. It didn't necessarily want some beings to decide that in order to enjoy the universe for themselves, they would do it in a parasitic, aggressive, warlike fashion, using other life forms as a source and a resource, a tool, a cattle, in order to project themselves into these higher planes and higher states of elevation and evolution by piggybacking and feeding and cannibalizing other species, much like they're doing to humanity in this earth right now. So after you die, be fully prepared to see those UFOs. They're going to be there. The world of lights is real, and so is hell. You want to go to the good side. You want to cross over. You want to go to the side where grandma went. And Christianity is not totally right. Islam is not totally wrong. No religion is totally right. Are you totally right? Are you totally wrong? Are you somewhere in between so they can sort you out? End the video, man. Death in the afterlife. That's what those UFOs are that I've been talking about. That's what I've been seeing. They really do look like batteries not included. Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters or the Third Kind or whatever it was. So, hey, man, you can check the video out. Have your own opinion about it. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here, man. I think I've done enough talking, man. And I'm going to let you just think over it, man. Look, the information is freely available. I'm not doing this for a price. I'm not being paid to lie or tell people misleading information. And dude, I'm a human, man. I have personality problems and quirks just like you do. Dude, I have my own crap load, behind my back here where I go. And the object of this whole life is to dump as much as that crap load out of that sack and off of your shoulders before time runs out. Because once that door opens to you and you go into the other side, that door is going to slam shut to you, behind you. And there's going to be some guy, just like those old cartoons, when they have the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the next. There's that predatory alien race that didn't create anything, that wants to feed off of us And then there's that good being and his children that want you to join that community and be with those people, those little pink, cute little aliens that are coming down and getting their ship shot down so they can steal souls for the side of right. That's who we want to work with. You know, we want to work with the good side. It's hard to explain to a Christian that, no, I don't have the knowledge to say that Jesus never existed. All I can say is speculation that somebody else speculated to me before I speculated it out on Facebook to the public. Whatever happened, what Jesus' story exists. It has a source. Whatever that source was, it must have originated in the side of right. Whoever corrupted it must have come from the side of darkness. Is it that clear-cut and simple? Yes. Look at the Bible. Somebody tried to corrupt it, and they did a good job of corrupting it, because you have to look at what you have in Christianity. You have a dual Christianity. You have a commercial Christianity that's very fake. You have a Christianity that's taking care of people. All right? You have an Islam that's damn fake. Excuse me for that. I was going to slip up and curse anyway, but we're adults. There's an adult speaking to you. But it's, there's a real Christianity that helps people, and there's Islam that helps people. There's also a jihadist Islam that is hell-bent on turning the Middle East into a war zone with Russia and these sellout freaking, contractors, and the United States is all over there, all that genocide and bombing. So here's the end of the video. Death in the afterlife.